A supply function, called a supply curve, relates to the quantity of the item that the manufacturers are willing to make per unit of time to the price for which the item can be sold. A demand function, called a demand curve, relates to the quantity of the item that the consumers are willing to purchase per unit of time to the price. The equilibrium point is where the supply curve and the demand curve intersect. So let's look at a couple examples dealing with this stuff here. The supply in thousands for phone cases can be modeled by the equation S of P equals 1.2P plus 0.5. The demand in thousands can be modeled by the equation D of P equals negative 0.7P plus 8.7. For both equations, P is in dollars. What is the equilibrium price and quantity? So we know from the definition up here that the equilibrium point is where the supply and the demand curves intersect. Or another way to think about it is when they are equal to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our supply, S, and our demand, D, and set them equal to each other. So 1.2P plus 0.5 is going to equal negative 0.7P plus 8.7. And all we do now is solve. So I'm going to take negative 0.7P and I'm going to add it over here. So I'm going to get 1.9P and I'm going to take 0.5 and subtract it over here and I'm going to get 8.2. And then from here I'm going to divide the 1.9 over and I'm going to get P equals 4.32. Now I round to two decimal places because P is dealing with money, dollars. So money always gets rounded to the nearest penny unless told otherwise. And since I'm not told specifically, I'm going to round to the nearest penny. So $4.32. Now to find the equilibrium quantity, I'm going to plug it back into either my D demand equation or my S supply equation. It doesn't matter, choose the one you think is easiest. So I'm going to choose the supply because it's all positive numbers. So S equals 1.2 times 4.32 plus 0.5. And I could just run this through and I'm going to end up getting S equals 5.684. So my supply quantity is 5.684. So the equilibrium point 4.32 comma 5.684. But actually in terms we can say that the equilibrium price is $4.32 and the equilibrium quantity is 5,684 because remember it is in thousands like it said in the original problem. Now let's look at another one. For a manufacturer, the quantity demanded of a certain device is 8,000 units when the price is $260. At a unit price of $200, demand increases to 10,000 units. This manufacturer will not sell any of the devices at a price of less than $100. For each $50 increase in price above 100, the manufacturer will market an extra 1,000 units. So knowing all this information, what is the supply equation? Well, we know from the first part is the quantity demanded. So the first part here is talking about the demand equation. We're not interested in that, not yet. The manufacturer is what supplies. So this is what we're going to get our information here. This manufacturer will not sell any of the devices at a price less than $100. So typically, unless specified otherwise, the quantity is going to be your X value and the price is going to be your Y value. So quantity, the manufacturer will not sell any, so we can say 0, at less than $100, P is my price. But then $50 increase in price above $100, the manufacturer will market an extra 1,000. So I have a quantity of 1,000 at $50 more than 100, so 150. Now I have my 2 points, and I can write my linear supply equation. So first off, I'm going to get my slope. So my slope for my supply equation is going to be 150 minus 100 over 1,000 minus 0, which is going to end up giving me 50 over 1,000, which is 0.05. So there's m. And now I can write my equation, which is very easy to do because right here, that is my y-intercept. So I can just plug it straight in without having to do any computations. So my supply equation is going to be y equals 0.05x plus 100. You can switch out y and x to anything you want. I just like to use y equals mx plus b because it's easier for me. But if you like to use different variables, use whatever you like. So there's my supply equation. Now I gotta get my demand equation because that is going to be the next question. So let's look at the information for demand. Demand for a certain device is 8,000 units when the price is 260, and at a unit price of 200, the demand increases to 10,000. So let's look at what that would be as ordered pairs. So the demand equation, we know we'd have an amount of 8,000 for our x value and a price of 260, but then we'd have 10,000 at a price of 200. And now we're going to find our demand equation because we now have our 2 points. So slope again for the demand is going to be 200 minus 260 over 10,000 minus 8,000. And that's going to give me negative 60 over 2,000, which is going to give me negative 0.03. Now I don't have a y-intercept here, so I'm going to do point slope formula to get my equation. And again, it doesn't matter which one you use, so I'm going to use this one here because why not? So y minus y1, 260 equals m x minus x1, 8,000, and just work it down. So distribute the negative 0.03 across. Y minus 260 equals negative 0.03x plus, because of double negatives, 240, and then add the 260 over. So my demand equation is y equals negative 0.03x plus 500. So now I have my demand equation. From before, I have my supply equation. And now I'm going to answer the last part. What is the equilibrium quantity and price? Which again is the 2 equations set equal to each other. So negative 0.03x plus 500 equals 0.05x plus 100. Now I solve. I'm going to subtract the 100 over here, so I get 400. Add the 0.03 over here, 0.08. And I'll divide by 0.08 over, and I'm going to get a very nice number of 5,000. Now I can plug it into any equation I want, but again, I'd rather work with positive numbers, so I'm going to do this one over here instead of the one with the negative. Just easier, at least for me. So I'm going to have y equals 0.05 times 5,000 plus 100. And again, just run that through your calculator, and you're going to get 350. So what is the equilibrium price and quantity? So we know our order pair, 5,000, comma, 350. And again, the equilibrium price, again is the Y value, is going to be $350, and the equilibrium quantity is going to be 5,000 units. So there is the equilibrium price and quantity, the demand, and the supply for this last part here.